Hey guys, welcome back to Snack Time. My name is Ben, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a new project called WeddingShare.
Garth, marriage is punishment for shoplifting in some countries.
So WeddingShare is a very interesting project being developed by an author called, his name is Cirx08. And basically what it is it's a way for you to, when, like, say you're having a wedding, right? And you have a bunch of guests coming to the wedding and they're all taking pictures, but there's really no easy way for you to get all those pictures from your guests, especially like maybe there's like really good ones, better than maybe your photographer, or maybe you didn't even have a photographer and you just have guests taking pictures with their phones. Well, the only way that they can really get them to you is for you to, like have them send you a link or a Dropbox link or something like that. And that's just a lot for you to keep up with. Maybe you want to make a site that they can go to, they can punch in a code and they can submit their photos to you, and other people can see the photos that have been submitted, and they can download them and cherish those memories too. So let me jump in. I'm going to show you the software real quick, and then I'm going to wrap it up by showing you how to deploy this on your own Docker server using Portainer and Nginx Proxy Manager to add a little bit of security to it. So this is really cool. When you get to the page, it's very basic, right? So it's asking you for a gallery name and a secret key. And that's something that you establish beforehand. There's a bunch of different settings that you can enable here that will allow people to create their own galleries and their own secret keys if you want. So when we go into the admin panel, initially we're going to have nothing in here other than the default gallery. So let's do this. Let's create a gallery and let's just call this the Smith's wedding. And the secret key is just going to be called Smith. Well, what you have here and now that you can share with your fellow wedding guests, if you go under the gallery, you'll have a code that you can give them, that you can text them, take a picture of it, text it to them, and when they get that code, they can use it to sign in to this page, and this allows them to upload photos. So say I'm a guest of the Smith wedding, and I took a couple of pictures of the bride and groom. Well, I can come in here and I'm going to drag them in and I'm going to submit them. Well, once they are submitted, then as the admin, I have the say so of like, are they approved or not? Are they good photos, or maybe they're really crappy photos? And I will see that under the admin panel. So if I refresh, I see that I don't know who submitted them, but I see that they have been submitted and I can either approve them or reject them. So maybe I really like this one. I'm going to approve this picture. And as I scroll down a little bit more, I don't like that one. I'm going to reject that one, but I do like this one. And so now we have 3 total, that have been submitted. And if I refresh this, I see that I've now 2 have been approved, and I don't have any that are pending. But I can jump into the gallery and I can see that they've been submitted, and I can blow them up, see the full size, and anybody else that has access to this gallery will also see these same photos. So you can, hopefully you can really see how this can be beneficial, especially if you're ever planning on getting married, or if you want to offer this as a service. It really just allows you to collaborate and gather all those different pictures that your guests have taken of people that, maybe your wedding photographer didn't think that you wanted pictures of, but you really did. And it kind of allows you to get all different types and perspectives from your guests, from the different guests and the different photos that they've taken. Hope that makes sense. This thing has a ton of configuration options. They're all located under as environment variables under Docker, but still very configurable. You can even choose to even keep the photos that are rejected. So if they're rejected, maybe they're rejected from the album, but not necessarily from your collection. So definitely really cool. Let's jump into the installation, because that's really all that you have to know about this program. It's It's very straightforward and very easy to work with. So let me show you how to install this, and we'll get it running on your server. So first thing, we need to find the GitHub. So let's just do a search for WeddingShare GitHub. Should be the first thing. All right, so Nginx08, let's click on him. And let's scroll past. Definitely, if you found this project helpful and you really are finding some benefit of it and saving a lot of time and effort, consider buying the guy a coffee at least. Definitely keeps him developing, because he's put a lot of time and effort into this. I will say that. Here are our different environment variables that we can customize. So when we're deploying, this is something you may want to consider looking through these different ones. But even if you don't make that decision right now, we can come back and add these at a later time. So we keep scrolling down. One that we will have to, that I have heavily considered that you put in place, is this admin username and password. But we'll add that a little bit later. We keep scrolling. Here is our Docker Compose file that we need. So let's go ahead and copy this guy. All right, now that we're at Portainer, let's go to stacks. Let's add a stack. I'm going to call this WeddingShare. And let's paste in that Docker Compose file that we have. All right, so like with any of my videos, I do like to describe what each part of the Docker Compose file is doing, so you know where to make changes. So let's zoom in a little bit, and let's start at the very top. So our container name is just being called WeddingShare. That's fine. Here's the image that we're pulling, and we're going to be pulling the latest one. Next up is our ports. So since we are going to be running this through Nginx Proxy Manager, there's really no reason for us to have this in here. This would only basically publish a port on our server that could be accessed that goes around our Nginx Proxy Manager, and we don't want to do that. If this was just you're hosting this locally, then you could definitely leave this uncommented. But if you do that, make sure you change this line right here to a port that you want to access the container. Like say you wanted to be like 8080, you could change it to that. If you leave it like this, it's basically looking for the information in the environment variables down below. But this is the only part that has that specified. We have 5000, which is the port that it's listening on. We might need that later on. Let's do this. I'm going to comment this out on here and right here. So now that we have that commented out, moving down, we have our title. So if we want to call this webpage something different, this will be the name that will show up on the top of the page too. So let's just call this Ben's Wedding Photo Service, whatever you want to call it, honestly, it doesn't matter. All right, and next it needs a URL for the logo. If you want to have a custom logo, we're going to paste just a random one I found on the web. Next, we have a couple other environment variables, such as the columns of the photos, how many columns you want, that's customizable. The types of pictures you want to be able to allow your guests to submit. If you want to allow them to submit, GIFs or GIFs, that's up to you. Then we also have our maximum file size in megabytes. We can change that. Let's do like 15. The secret key is not the admin, so I don't really need to set up a default with that. I'm going to comment that out. But speaking of admin, I do want to grab and establish an admin username and password. So let's zoom out. Let's go back to our GitHub page, and let's scroll up. My admin username. Let's paste that in here. I'm going to also get the password too. Copy this and paste this. And now we need to establish what they are. So let's put colon, and then let's put the little quotation marks, and we're going to put the username just going to be admin, and I'm going to make the password 1234. Cool. Please make it more secure than that. But yeah, this is just for testing. After this, we have our volumes that it's going to establish, and it's going to create a volume for the config, a volume for thumbnails, and for uploads. Now we're going to leave that alone because it's doing exactly what we want it to do, is it's creating these volumes for us. Next up is our network mode. It's set to bridge here, which will basically put it on the default network for Docker. I'm not a big fan of that. I would prefer it to be on its own network. Just more secure that way. That way I can control what container can talk to this container and what container it can talk to. So let's comment that out. And if you comment that out, that will allow Portainer just to it'll create a network for you automatically. You can specify it if you want, but not really much of a reason to. Next up, we have our volumes. This is the last little bit, and this is basically the way for Docker to go ahead and create these volumes for us to use that are referenced right here. They will be called and named something a little different. You change the name, but you can change that to be whatever you want. If you do decide to rename these volumes up here at the top, make sure you also rename them down here at the bottom too. Right, so now that we have all that established, let's hit our deploy stack. All right, very, very fast. Now let's set up Nginx Proxy Manager and our subdomain. Let's do subdomain first. I'm going to be doing it through Namecheap, but you can do it through whatever DNS service you have. I'm going to be adding a record. It's going to be an A record, and I'm just going to call it wedding. So my subdomain is going to be called wedding. So basically it'll be wedding.senhow.com. IP address that I'm going to use is the IP address of my server, and I'm going to save those changes. All right, before we go and configure Nginx Proxy Manager, one thing I do need to do is to jump back to Portainer, go to containers, go to my Nginx app here, scroll all the way to the bottom, and let's drop down, select network, and make sure that we have joined the WeddingShare default network that was created by our Portainer. All right, now that we have that done, let's head over to our proxy manager and let's add ourselves a host. All right, so for our domain name, we're going to be using wedding.senhow.com. And asking for HTTP, that's fine. It's going to ask us for our host name, and we can find that back at Portainer under containers. And here it is right here, WeddingShare. Paste that in there. Make sure we don't have any white space. And asking us for that port. I don't know if you remember what that was, but if you don't, that's okay. We can jump back over to our GitHub page, scroll all the way to the bottom, and here we go. This is the port that it's looking for. It's that second one, the port that WeddingShare is listening for traffic on. Copy that guy and paste him in here. I'm gonna block common exploits and WebSocket support and hit save. All right, once that's done, we do need to add a security certificate to it. Let's go ahead and hit edit, SSL, and we're just going to request a new one. And we're going to force SSL and agree to the terms of service and hit save. If we did everything right, this should go away here in a second, and it should show us that we have Let's Encrypt on our server. Yep, cool, there we go, we got Let's Encrypt. It means that the site is reachable, at least by Let's Encrypt. And let's see if we can get into it. Let's click on Wedding. And there we go, Ben's Wedding Photo Service. And it's asking us for our admin password. Let's just type password 01234. And here we go. We are all signed in. We can start creating galleries. Do the Wilson wedding. Wilson 154. There, once that's created, the only thing you have to do really is just give somebody this little QR code right there and they can access the site. They can start uploading any photos that they want. Yeah, so that pretty much sums up WeddingShare. I hope you found this video helpful, and I hope you find this software helpful, really. And if you do, maybe consider throwing the guy some money, maybe make a donation to keep him developing this project. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. You guys take care.